When Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders steps down at the end of July, all eyes will be on his replacement. The new chief will take over a force at a time when police actions are front and center. For more this morning, we're joined by Chen Frederick, Executive Director at Frontlines Toronto. Thanks for being on your morning.
Thank you for having me.
Where does the new chief need to start in order to rebuild relationships with the Black and LGBTQ plus communities in addressing some of the issues of violence that were outlined in the Ontario Human Rights Commission?
Well, I think the new police chief will definitely need to engage with community leaders to talk about the history and some of the emotions and feelings and look at some of the facts in regards to the discrimination that has happened to various groups, the LGBTQ community, the Black community, looking at those who are dealing with mental health. It's really starting to understand our lived experiences and being able to develop strategies with the community in regards to how to respond to issues brought up by the community.
Chen, there's a sharp focus on hiring right now. You know, we heard the RCMP commissioner last week talking about not understanding all the different definitions of systemic racism. When they are asking their questions, when they are doing their interviews, what should the city be looking for in its next chief?
Yes, so I definitely think the conversation around structural racism, anti-Black racism, understanding sexual orientation, and again, things around mental health, that some of the questions need to be there. Not just from a textbook definition of structural racism, but actually having a track record of working with communities around these issues so that they have an understanding of the concerns being brought up. So I think that is one of the crucial sort of questions that they need to look at. But also, I would say, what is that person's viewpoint in regards to how to handle police officers who are engaging in racism, that looks at discrimination around LGBTQ community, that there also has to be not just an understanding, but a willingness to address policies and procedures and police officers who engage in racism, sexism, all the different sort of ism.
Yeah, accountability is something that comes up again and again from within the service. So what are some of the biggest challenges then this new chief will face from within the service?
Well, I think that looking at structural racism and many of these different issues have gone on not just for decades, it's centuries that we have seen that there has been discrimination against various groups of individuals within the police service. So I think one of the things that the police chief will have to deal with is that everyone is going to have an opinion and the way that things have been historically done, and people like to keep things as status quo. So it's really about listening and understanding what are the changes in society, what we're seeing across the border, but here in Canada, and that there is an absolute need for change. So that individual has to come in with the ability to create change in the police service.
In order to create change from within the service, we know that there has to be support from within the service. I remember this when they were selecting a new chief before Mark Saunders was chosen. Do you select a chief who has strong ties outside of the service, outside of the force, or do you choose somebody who has strong support within and try to change from within? It is a challenging job to choose the right person for the right time. This is the largest police service in the country. Amongst the growing calls to defund the police, a lack of trust from marginalized communities, what is at stake this time to get the right person for the right time? Chen, can you still hear me?
No, I can hear you.
Great. I'm curious to know what is at stake for the service this time round when choosing a chief to get the right person for the right time, for the right moment.
Yeah, so I think the stakes are very high. I think, we had Mark Saunders, and we sometimes see that individuals are tokens. And at this point in time, it's very important that we have somebody that understands what is going on. Whether within the police force have strong ties to the community, it has to have a police chief that really understands the community and is willing to make those changes, because we can't go on anymore like this. We see what happened to George Floyd. We've seen what has happened here in Canada with Regis. And so we really need for our police chief to step up for the community.
State Chen, I want to thank you for joining us here on Your Morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.